Hey, how you guys doing? Welcome back to another episode of Soulja Talk the podcast. I'm your host, Staff Sergeant McPherson, and on this show we discuss military topics with current and prior service members. Today, I am going to show you guys how to fill out the monthly reports. So every month on the first of the month, the property book office sends out the monthly reports. So this consists of the sensitive items, the primary hand receipt, and the cyclic inventory. So the first of the month, the property book office is going to send these out to all the supply sergeants to basically do their inventories throughout the month. So during that time, as far as the cyclic inventory, the commander and the supply sergeant usually does that inventory where she walks through with the supply sergeant and does 10% of the property book, which is the cyclic inventory. So the cyclic inventory is gonna have different liens that you have to inventory each month. So it's supposed to be 10% of the property book. So the sensitive items will always be done every month. The only thing that's gonna change each month is gonna be the cyclic inventory. So as far as the filling the paperwork out, that's what I'm gonna show you guys today. How to fill out each document according to the standard, basically the standard on how to fill out each document. Okay, so as far as the primary hand receipt, so once you get the primary hand receipt, that's basically all the equipment that's on the property book. So that's what the commanders go. That's the entire primary hand receipt. So that is what the commander is going to have to sign on the last page. They're gonna have to sign the last page of the primary hand receipt. Okay, we're gonna start off with the sensitive items. So for the sensitive items, I'm gonna have it up on the screen for you guys. So therefore, you know what you're looking at when you're filling out the sensitive items report. So on the first page, it will have 3 blocks. It will say all sensitive, explosive, and hazardous items have been inventoried. No discrepancies were noted. Discrepancies have been noted or accounted for in accordance with the applicable regulations. So those are 3 blocks that you got on that first page, along with the commander's hand signature. So on that first page, if there have been no discrepancies noted, you will have those first 2 blocks checked. So the first 2 blocks will be checked if there have been no discrepancies noted. Okay. The only time you would check that discrepancies have been noted block is if when there is a true discrepancy identified and missing, which will need to be adjusted with the statement of charges or AAR or a flipper. So if either 3 of those things are not, if the property book are not being adjusted by those 3 things, the statement of charges, the AAR, or a flipper, you will not mark discrepancy. It's not a discrepancy. So lateral transfers, they are not considered a discrepancy. So on that first page, that's where the commander will sign the first page of the sensitive inventory. So that's where the commander signs on that first page. Okay. Going on down, far as filling out the blocks, far as the quantity on hand, the quantity in maintenance, and other. So say you have 17 M4s. You got 17 M4s. And say you have 14 on hand, you got 2 in maintenance, and one is 26.2 to someone. Okay, so if you can't validate, if you can't get eyes on that one that you got 26.2 to somebody, you can use that documentation as a supporting document when you turn in your monthly reports. So if it's in maintenance, you want to put quantity in maintenance. You will put the 2 that's in maintenance, and you will put that in the remark section. So you want to say 2 each in maintenance. You want to have the serial numbers and the work order attached to the document. So whenever you submitting any reports, anytime you submitting the monthly reports, you want to have the supporting documents to go along with it. So, like I said, if it's 17 and you got the quantity on hand is 14, quantity and maintenance is 2, and 1 is 26.2 to somebody. So that's the only time. That's still not a discrepancy. So if you're gonna account for that equipment, that's not considered as a discrepancy. So if you got all of them on hand, say you have 17 on hand and you have physically seen 17. So you will put 17 in the quantity on hand, 0 in maintenance, and 0 in quantity other. And you wouldn't put nothing in the remark section. So the only time you'll put something in the remark section is when you're explaining what's going on, whether the equipment is 2062 to somebody or if it's in maintenance. So if it's a flipper, so say you have 4 M4s on hand, you see 3, but 1 is missing. So that one, say you're doing a flipper for that one weapon. So you will zero out the quantity and maintenance, and other is where you'll put your discrepancy. So an other is where you'll put the one that's for the flipper. So, and then in the remark section, you will put the serial number. You'll put the serial number and what it is to flipper, and you'll put the flipper and currently on DD 200, the 15-6. So that's the only time you will note a discrepancy on the sensitive items if it's a flipper, AAR, or statement of charges. So on that last page of the sensitive items is where you want to mark the discrepancy. And on that last page is, well, you can mark it on the first page too, but the commander has to sign the first page. And on the last page, you can mark a discrepancy if it's a flipper, AAR, or a statement of charges. And who was ever conducting the sensitive items inventory, that's who's going to sign the last page. So moving on to the cyclic inventory. So far, the cyclic, it's the same process. So if it's no pending statement of charges, no AAR, no flipper, it's not a discrepancy. So lateral transfers are not considered a discrepancy. And the first, and basically, so you want to mark that on the first and the last page. So far as the cyclic, the commander signs on the first and the last page of the inventory. So unlike the sensitive, the commander signs the first and the last pages, but on the sensitive, the commander signs the first page, and whoever conducts the inventory signs the last page. Okay, so as far as the cyclic, filling out the cyclic blocks where the inventory quantity. So say you inventory in 4, you inventory 4 tricons, like as it say on the screen. You inventory 4 tricons and you only see 3. So you only see 3. Say one of them, you will mark 1 each, and it looked like this one's been 2062 or 1750 or a lateral transfer. So either one of those things is not considered a discrepancy. So if it's not a flipper, that is not a discrepancy. So you will put that in the remarks saying that it's been 2062 or whatever you gave the equipment to, and that's basically what you will use as supporting document. So that's for that. So it'll be inventory quantity and remarks. So that's only if you got something, a supporting document, or something is like, if you don't have that equipment on hand. If not, you don't have to worry about that remark section. So, and then on the last page of the cyclic, like I said, uh, you will mark note property. You will mark the property has been inventoried, and then you will also check no discrepancies, and then the commander will sign it again on the last page. So that's how you guys supposed to correctly fill out the monthly reports. I work in the property book office, so I look at these a lot. So that's the correct way you're supposed to do it. So sometimes, most of the times, like we don't get them in on time, and we don't want to kick it back all the time. But I feel like this should help the Yankees out there who know what they're supposed to be looking for and know how it's supposed to be filled out. So if you do want to kick it back, you can kick it back. So this the way you're supposed to fill it out. Fill them out. So there you guys go. So I got some more 92 Yankee content on the way. Make sure you check out my other videos that I have on Facebook at Soulja Talk the podcast. You can find me. You can find the podcast on YouTube. Also, you can follow the podcast on Instagram at Soulja Talk the podcast. Also, you can listen to the podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Google Podcasts. So there you guys go. This has been another episode of Soulja Talk the podcast, and I see you guys in formation.